Now, my hot take is that we should get rid of pretty much all of the list seats in Parliament. Just turn them all into electorates. Not only does having more electorates provide more opportunities for other parties to win seats, but it enables a closer relationship with the people who are representing you. And it ensures that every single person in Parliament, or at least the vast majority, are generally speaking representing an actual region, representing people who have elected them to pass law on their behalf. But not just this. I don't just want this. I want to change how we vote in Parliament. I think it's necessary. We need to stop voting as party blocks. Acknowledge that we're members of parties, sure. Acknowledge that these representatives are representatives of this party. However, every single time we vote on a bill, you vote as an individual. You do not vote as a party block, because why on earth would you bother voting for an electorate MP if you just expect them to do whatever the party says? There are people who will vote for their electorate MP, and yet the party will do the opposite of what they voted their electorate MP to do because they wanted their electorate MP for X. However, they're required to do what the majority of the party want. Sure, you could have your electorate MP lobby their party to say, hey, we should take a different approach, but you can easily get overruled there. And perhaps MPs in that position might just succumb to pressure from within their party to vote accordingly. But I mean, hey, look, if we want a democracy, if we want a representative government that is actually there to vote on your behalf, to work on your behalf, this change needs to happen. And the only way that can realistically happen is by removing list seats. Now, could I see a world, or could I see a middle ground where we have some list seats and the only time that they are activated is when a party reaches a threshold and doesn't get any electorates? Sure. But I think how it is right now with about 50 list seats, that's just not good. I mean, let's look at the likes of the Green Party. I think the Green Party is an absolute clown show. And yet they've only actually got 3 electorate seats. And so if they've only got 3 electorate seats, yet, 12 members in Parliament or something like that, that suggests that there's a lot of people there who people have never heard of advocating for radical policy and voting what is arguably against the interests of many people in the country. At least if the general public actually voted for the specific individual, then whenever they cast a vote in Parliament, they're doing it on behalf of someone specifically, someone who cast that vote in their favour. It's not a very difficult concept to get your head around, but I think it's the right way. I mean, if we look at the US, for example, the US has a system where the House of Representatives are elected. I don't believe they have list representatives at all. You are the representative of this state. You are the representative of this district, and so forth. That is how it should be. We have the means of doing so. We don't have to increase the number of people in our parliament. We can keep it the same. We just increase the electorates. We just make the electorates smaller. Our population is growing rapidly anyway. Each electorate is going to get larger and larger naturally. It's going to have more and more people. We need to get to a point where the number of people in our electorates aren't too excessive. And by having more electorates, you can keep that number down. Look, I don't think this is an unreasonable position. I don't think this is an unreasonable suggestion. I simply think that people need to be getting into Parliament on the merit of actually resonating with the public, not having, let's say, a Chloe Swarbrick at the front of the Green Party and a Tamitha Paul in the Green Party suddenly coming in and appealing to a bunch of young people, and all of a sudden a bunch of radicals you've never heard of suddenly have a platform to do stuff. You know, as much as I oppose the minority electorate seats, and I think they should be abolished as soon as possible, you can see the likes of Hannah Rafferty, Mike Clark actually being elected by the constituents of that electorate. Now, do I think those electorates should exist and therefore she shouldn't be there? Well, that's a question to be had. But that aside, she was still elected, and for that you have to respect her position and her standing. She has far more credibility to be in Parliament than the likes of Darlene Tanner, who is, well, as we all know, Darlene Tanner is under investigation for potentially being involved with migrant exploitation. But that's the Green Party for you. They're not very good at behaving themselves. Now, we should be moving in a direction where in order to be a representative in our parliament, you must be elected. You must have someone in the public go up to the voting booth and put a tick next to your name. Not the party's name, your name. That should be your ticket. That should be your ticket into governance. That should be your ticket into parliament. And it should not be any other way.